This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And we have a couple guests down there.
I'm Pete.
No,
I'm John. Nice to meet you. Good to be here, guys.
Excellent. So today we're going to be talking about the state of portables. And before we do that, why don't you guys tell everybody about your channels, where you can be found, and then we'll move on. Starting with John.
I guess. We'll talk. Oh yeah. So I'm John. I have a channel called Gamester81 on YouTube. I cover retro gaming, console reviews, and games. I'm also a big Star Wars fan, so I have a Star Wars show on YouTube as well called Star Wars Nut 77. So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
I'm Pete. I'm back again.
And then as far as
I've been here before. I'm Pete from Classic Gaming Fun, formerly OEB Pete, Open Every Box channel. I tend to change my channel name every year for fun. Yeah, I cover mostly, I guess, AA systems, like retro systems like Evercade, Collector Vision Phoenix, the VS, the VCS, stuff like that. I kind of like being on the fringe of the modern retro tech for retro games, stuff like that. That's what I really love. Big fan of John. Been watching your channel for close to a decade.
Thank you for the thank you. Wow, making me feel old. Thank you. I appreciate the coverage on the Phoenix too.
Yeah, my actually I have family in Phoenix, so yeah, my brother and family.
Oh, cool.
In Phoenix. Yeah, I've been down there quite a bit.
Very cool. Nice.
So obviously the first topic, the one you cannot avoid when talking about portables, is the Nintendo Switch. How do you guys feel about the Nintendo Switch, and is it your go-to console?
I mean, it's my go-to portable right now. Just throwing that out there. But go ahead, John.
Fair enough.
Sorry, Will. Yeah. So I agree. I mean, it's as far as modern consoles go, it's my go-to. I think it's probably the most quote retro feel, right? Because it's got the cartridges. I think the games. I mean, look at what Nintendo Direct recently announced with some of the old school games coming back, right? So for me, like as a retro player, I really love it. I think the Switch is a great system.
Yeah, for me, it's the system I play the most modern games on. And again, when I say modern games, I don't necessarily mean AAA games. I go for the limited games, the collections games, the old retro games that are just being produced physically for it. But I love the Switch for modern games. And then, for me, like John said, the fact that they still have carts, like that's a big deal for me. Like, discs are cool, but carts is where it's at in my world.
Is that your collection in the background on the left?
Yeah, that's
cool.
My secret shame.
Yeah.
But yes, and I'd say probably 70% of them are like games that came out on the eShop and then got physical releases through the 30 different companies. That's what's there.
Yeah, that's
Just
awesome.
love supporting small companies, and those games are really fun because most of them are just side-scrolling 16 or 32-bit pixel games. Are really fun, short experiences. Being a dad, I need short games.
Absolutely.
Right. No, I get that. 100%. It's hard finding games that you can complete in a reasonable amount of time, especially when you work, crazy hours, or you're trying to do YouTube at the same time, or you want to spend a little bit of time with your children. It can be very difficult to find games that are short enough to eat up that time in a meaningful way that doesn't affect the rest of your life, right?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's why I started gaming. Whenever the kids go to bed, I get like an hour a night between the kids are in bed, and then it's, mommy, daddy time. I go and game, and that's what I do. I pick a game. And, they're only a couple hours for those games.
I definitely get this. Right? I really stress out when my dog's whining at me. I know it's exactly the same, right?
Everybody's time start for some reason, right? In their life. It could be kids, dogs, pets, work, whatever, right?
I will say embarrassingly when I am playing video games and it's a stressful moment. So I just recently beat Halo Infinite on Legendary, and the last boss fight was very stressful for me. When my dog is whining at me and I'm getting unreasonably upset at my dog, it's like I know I have to walk you. It's like,
your first mistake on Legendary.
Exactly.
Did you do that on the hardest setting, you said, or what?
Yeah, the hardest setting. Yeah.
Wow.
So I went through a normal first, and then just to get used to the mechanics, and then Legendary was just it was rough.
Wow.
As I got older,
very impressive.
I love games that have difficulty settings now.
Yes.
There's no
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know, you can go if you want. You can go easy, medium, hard, and you can just pick your poison, right?
Well, I'm enjoying so many more
Yeah.
games because I'm like, I've gotten out of that mindset where I have to play the hardest mode and I can play in casual. And so many more games are much more like, accessible to me now. It's like The Witcher. I played The Witcher 3 on casual, and it was just so much fun because I just kind of like, go through the game, experience the story, destroy the monsters when I want to. It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like Halo was like the first game that I can recall that had like the replenishing health mechanic. Like, I don't know if it was or not, but it feels like it was one of the earlier ones anyway. That and then every game now, modern game, kind of takes that, technique.
Fair enough.
So it's interesting.
Well, Chris and Will are both Halo experts, right? So was it the first game, Chris?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it was Halo 2. They introduced the shield, right? The over shield. That was a big. I remember when that got introduced. People were like, "Oh, they're ruining the game." I'm like, "Oh, thank God they're putting an extra layer in there to protect me."
Well, it's the same thing with the 2 weapon systems that also started with Halo. So like Call of Duty is now like almost all of the games, like Call of Duty, Battlefield have 2 weapons, and that's because of Halo.
I just can't do those online games.
I get my ass
Speaking
kicked
of
on
Halo, as far as cloud gaming goes, how do you guys feel about cloud gaming in general? I know the Switch just activated cloud gaming for the Kingdom Hearts trilogy, and I can't recommend that to anybody. I don't feel like it's right to do that. But how do you guys feel about cloud gaming in current day? Because that is a high part of the portable market.
I think it has its place. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard of Ant Stream before or not, but it's
Love it.
I would recommend it. Yeah, it's got some really great old school games on there. I think I think internet has caught up. Like if we were asking me this like 10 years ago, I would say like cloud gaming probably wouldn't really work. But a lot of us have really high speed internet, and so for most of us, I think it's fine. It does. I'm a retro guy, so I like the physical stuff like Pete. But I think it has its place.
I think so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it has its place. I think the technology is starting to catch up to it to make the service viable. Like,
right.
Like on the VCS, I tried Stadia. It worked fine. And then all of a sudden, if you didn't have a strong connection, it would drop out. But for me, it's like it's not something like that I want to. That's not gaming for me, and that's my own personal thing. Like today, I could have been playing Horizon Forbidden West last night if I would have got digital, but I waited until like tonight to get the physical delivered, and just to have it. But I think we're still a couple years away from it really becoming the next big thing because like up here in Canada, like the internet's pretty good, but it's still pretty spotty. Like just on a work call, working from home, you get like stutters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, especially in games that you need that like that twitch mechanic, and then you need like if people are fighting games or shooter games. I don't know if it's mature enough to tech yet, but I'm not opposed to it. It's just not for me. But I guess eventually we'll all play it.
As long as it doesn't replace other gaming ways of play, I'm okay with it. If it starts replacing that, then that's an issue for me, right? So,
do you think
I like it as an addition?
Is the last holdout? Like the fact that Nintendo's switching to it, especially in Asia, they're really gone big on it over there. We're just starting to see it in North America. Do you think once, like now that like it's the writing's on the wall, we're like a decade away from it, just no more physical? That's my fear. But
I think it's probably not too far off. I think you're probably not too far off on that. Partially because discs are basically just licenses at this point for the most part, and some of them contain games on it. But I did buy a game last gen that was Super Lucky's Tale. It had like 10 megabytes on the disc, so clearly there was no game on there. And so when you're in a situation like that where you have to download the whole game anyways, although you have the physical license, I don't feel like that's the same thing as what we had in the previous gens where the whole game's on disc. Developers were constrained to fit it on the media, and then you knew when you bought it there might be patches, but it's a playable game most of the time when you get it.
The Switch is good for that.
I kind of look at gaming kind of in the same relationship as music. You look at like streaming music. A lot of people stream music, right? Spotify's not the greatest quality, but you look at other apps like Tidal. But my point is, people still collect vinyl records, and vinyl's coming back, right? It's very popular. I feel like there's going to be always a market for the physical medium, whether it's music or gaming. I feel like that's not going to go away anytime soon, to be honest. So I feel like the push for gaming is going to be kind of like music in the way that a lot of people are going to start streaming it more in cloud. But I feel like there's always going to be one for physical touch and physical medium, you know? That's my opinion.
That's a great analogy. I never thought of it that way. I totally agree. I think just because like now there's at least 20 companies that are doing small physical releases of all these types of games. And I think that they exist, so they must be profitable for them. It must be something there. There's an appetite for it. And like for me too, it's like one of my pet peeves on YouTube especially is like a lot of people always say the retro gaming community is tiny in comparison to everything else. And I kind of look at it and I'm like, it's not tiny. It's a massive market, and it's only getting bigger every year because people are getting older and are having that nostalgia. And so I feel there's going to be room for physical, like in our space, like albums, right?
What's like the future, Pete? Like you have your background, you have all your games. Like what's the future going to look like when 20 years from now? Are they gonna like, this is my game collection. I have a PC hard drive that's going to have all my games on it.
Drive or something.
I have like cloud gaming. It's all on the cloud, you know? So, I mean, it's just not the same experience.
Just have a bunch of TVs, portrait TVs behind you, showing all your digital libraries on the screen, like a little artwork thing.
Or you just see the Wi-Fi router. It's like, there it is. My connection.
But there's always that debate too, is like, do you actually own the game at that point too, right? You're just kind of basically renting that service.
Yep.
So those servers could go offline anytime, right? And you kind of SOL at that point.
There's so many games that have lost. I've been getting into the Ouya recently, and I'm surprised so many people are interested in it. I got it Ouya. I got it set up to go and put my own APKs I went to Internet Archive .org and found all the Ouya APKs of games that no longer exist anywhere that came out in 2013 on mobile. And these are great games, and the only way to play them is on like the Ouya. So I loaded them up, and I'm discovering these games, and I'm like, nobody will know these games ever existed, or they'll forget, and they'll be lost through time because they were digital only. And all of a sudden the servers went down. You know, Ouya got shut down, and then the small communities brought Ouya back up, and all these games are coming back. And Scott Pilgrim in the World, right, on the PS3, that disappeared for nobody could ever find that game a long time unless you bought it originally. It just got delisted off the store, and that was a great game, and nobody got to enjoy it for a decade until it came in on the Switch.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft owns the rights to that now. But yeah, you're right.
That's why I love like digging around in old tech, and I have so much respect for the community out there that are just revitalizing dead systems. I think it's so cool.
That makes me think about the Vita in regards to just the fact that the PS4 had the remote play hardware built into the system, and then going forward with the PS5, they removed that capability in the PS5. And I do a lot of gaming in my house beamed to my Vita because it's a easy thing to do. Because my wife will have the TV going and she'll be watching whatever she watches, and I'll be playing my PS4 mobile on my Vita in the same room. And having that hardware-based remote play is super nice, and that's lost. There won't be that again in the future. Sony is going to walk away from that.
Yeah. I
love the Vita. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, John. I was going to say the Vita is I have a love affair with the Vita right behind me. That's what you see in this picture is my favorite. This is the stuff my kids will never sell. Like my whole goal in my collection, like all my collections from the kids go to university, I'm going to help them sell whatever they want in this room, except what's directly behind me. Like that's my babies. Like that's all my games I own. But I love the Vita. But go ahead, John.
Now, I was going to say, I think the Vita, unfortunately, was just overshadowed, right, by Nintendo and the handheld market at the time when it came out. But it's a great, looking back on it, I mean, it's OLED. It's an OLED screen. A lot of people don't realize that. And, you know, Nintendo finally came up with the OLED Switch. But that was way ahead of its time for technology-wise, right? And the display's great. Games are so fun to play on that system. I love the Vita.
Yeah, and that Nier system, I always used to get excited when somebody in my neighborhood had a Vita and it would show up on the Nier app. I'm like, oh my God, there's somebody else here that has a Vita, and I click on them and see their games, send them a message. Yeah, I did a video a long time ago on a channel that I killed about 8 years ago. Was playing Red Dead, the first one, via the Vita, like streaming it from the PS. I believe it was PS3, the PS3 at the time, to my Vita, playing it. And I just did a stupid video and put it on YouTube on an old channel, and it got 20,000 views.
Wow, that's pretty.
Put it up there and forgot about it. Never went back to the channel because I was just playing around with YouTube at the time. And I went back and checked on it, and it had 20,000 views. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. People were interested in that. I should have stuck with it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts. But Vita, great
So
system.
then that kind of brings me to some of this conversation brings me to something that you definitely love, Mr. Pete. That is the Evercade, which is something that I think a lot of people
This is the fellow right here?
Yep, they're going back to systems like that because physical media all the way, right?
Yeah, I love the Evercade. I think the Evercade ecosystem is great. You know, it's bringing again lost games, especially because it's a British company. They're bringing a lot of games that I never got to experience as a kid in the 80s. As a teenager growing up in the 80s, like games like came from the Oliver twins, the Oliver brothers over there, the Codemaster collection. A lot of those games weren't on my radar in North America, and I love that. But the Evercade and the handheld especially, great little system, affordable. You know, $60 Canadian. When can you buy a system for $60 with one packing of 26 Atari games on it for $60?
Right.
It was crazy. Absolutely love it. Still
like that.
Like anytime I go anywhere, if it's not the Switch in my bag, it's that. I take it with me.
Do you have a consoleized version too? Because didn't they release like a consoleized version of it recently?
Yeah, I've got the Founders Edition, and I play that mostly with the kids. I'm trying to get them into retro. Man, is that ever tough? Getting my 9-year-old into retro games. All he wants to play is Roblox. But yeah, I have the console version, which is a great system. It's a great little system for sure. But that handheld, like first time I played it, like it feels like a PSP in your hand. John, do you have one, John?
It's about the.
I do not have one actually.
Right?
I do not have either actually. To be honest, it's one couple systems I'm missing. I need to get it.
So it's like this. It's like roughly the size of a little smaller than the Switch Lite.
Switch Lite? Yeah.
I mean, it's $60, so you got to get over the fact that the screen is not like perfect, but everything else is really comfortable on it. It's good. They update the firmware all the time on it. So, and this is the limited edition one I got, but it's a really great system. But it's not one drawback. It doesn't have original IPs on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been pestering them to get CollectorVision games on there, John. I don't know if you know that, but I've been at them.
I
love
appreciate
all you guys' ROMs. I have them all your ROM packs and play them on my Phoenix.
That. Yeah. I've been trying to reach out to them myself and trying to, but they've been very, very busy. But I'd love to get games on there for sure.
Yeah, but the Evercade, it's a great system. I can't recommend it enough. Like, it's one of the few things on my channel that I'll actually openly recommend. It's actually the only system I recommend for any retro gamer who just wants to play something different, collect something different. It's that one.
Yeah.
Having actual boxes on collections and carts is something that a lot of companies are going away from. So a company that's got a low bar to get into, being the price, is something I really, really love about Evercade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Full color manual. It's the Codemaster. I like the little clamshells like Sega, right? Sega Master System. It's pretty cool. And, your little full color manual. It gives you a little stuff about the games as they came out. Something like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. I mean, they're good curated collections. Good for collectors, good for gamers if you're a retro gamer. I mean, they stop at the PlayStation though. Like that's that's the highest system they'll do is the PlayStation. Which is
because if you go past the PlayStation, it makes it harder and harder to run. And if you want to keep the cost low, you can't really go past that.
And it's the cart size too, right? The cart is only so big.
Yeah.
And usually PlayStation games anywhere from 250 to a couple, maybe a gigabyte or two of data on there, right? Depending on if it's Final Fantasy or something. But
that would be pretty cool to get Final Fantasy on there, although I doubt that would ever happen.
Yeah, no, it's mostly a lot of it is indie stuff, right? Because they got the Indie Heroes collection. They even put on the Intellivision collection, they even put a homebrew on it too, Princess Quest, which the better versions in the CollectorVision Phoenix, the ColecoVision version. I say that, and appease off everybody in the Intellivision world, but I'm like, it's true. The Coleco version of that game is better than the Intellivision. I think, anyway, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And
Do you have
the Phoenix, because whatever's within my fingertips are systems I play all the time, and I'm just saying,
There you go.
the original
like it.
pre-order of that.
Nice.
Love that little system.
Thank you.
Anyway.
I meant to ask.
I don't know
all
if we'll
you guys,
do more. Yeah. Good.
Do you guys remember Ben Heck back in the day? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
That was
He
probably
does
one of the
that portable.
coolest.
Yeah.
One of the coolest like retro projects that he used to do. Like he'd have a spinning disc PlayStation with a screen on the front using the old PS1 screens and do his own like custom handhelds. My goodness, like that, it was kind of like in my opinion, the start of what led to things like Analog and Analog Pocket and like that kind of a thing where you have a system that's portable and it can play so many different systems.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me my opinion on this.
Do you love it?
Well, what's your opinion?
Yeah,
Um,
no.
It's a regret. I should never have bought it. Yeah. It's the hardware's great, like the build quality, everything that plays the games it's supposed to play. Form factor, I don't like. OS is half baked. There's a lot of the features in the OS doesn't really work. Yeah, it's finicky. The base system doesn't charge my system, which is
Really?
supposed to.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I've run into a lot of problems with it, but
But I'm on a
it
Wii.
does.
I got a.
It does look good when you're playing it. It's really heavy, and I just find it cramp up after about an hour. My hands do. And this is a guy who plays plays handheld games the majority of the time. But
Did you order that like a long time ago? Because when I ordered mine, like I got an email saying fourth quarter of this year is when mine's supposed to come.
yeah, I got it
Like,
that day at 6:01 a.m. I had it in.
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
just yeah.
wow.
I got it.
'Cause
So I got it.
I ordered it later in the day, and it was like I got an email. Hey, you're on the fifth queue, and like I think it's like later this year or early next year before I get mine.
Yeah, I got mine in December of this year, so I was quite lucky, quite fortunate. But it's very few things I regret, and this one I'm like, I wish I would have took the money, to be honest with you, and bought a modified original GBA. You know, get the original GBA with the because it's much more
Exactly.
comfortable. Because this one here, when I got it, like I was expecting the OS to be finished because they've got a feature coming out called the library, which I'm super excited about. It's complete history of video games. You can go in and check any video game, read about it, and it's going to have this entire ecosystem, and that's not even close to being released. So that's kind of disappointing.
It seems like it was rushed a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think that's the biggest thing. So yeah, but I'm hopefully. Yeah, I haven't done a full.
Do they have the
review on it.
attachments? Are those out? The attachments like for the TurboGrafx and Game Gear? Do you have
The
any
Game
of those?
Gear one? Yes. The other three are on pre-order.
But I did hear that they're open source on their pin connection. So like you could have some third-party company create a combination on their pins that would let you play NES, SNES, and those kinds of things. But I don't think that would be a very comfortable console to play those games on.
No, it's not comfortable in general for me. But I didn't own a Game Boy.
Yeah,
growing up,
it's the same size as a Game Boy Color, or how does it compare?
It's about same size of original Game Boy.
Okay.
Like the DMG green screen one.
Yeah. It is beautiful. Like I said, the games look unbelievable on it. But you know when you get something that looks good, but if you want to like modify any of the features, it's kind of archaic. Well, like analogs like that anyway, because I got the SG and the NT also, like their OS is not made for their UI is not like friendly, right? You got to go navigate it. This one's just the same. It's like not very intuitive, but I must say, like when the game's running, it runs. It's just beautiful looking.
How's the battery on it?
I can get about 3.5, 4 hours running my EverDrive because I put all my ROMs on this. But yeah, I can get roughly that. Oh, we lost Chris.
Yep. No, what happened.
We're running the show now.
Exactly. I'm the captain now.
But to be honest with you, John, I think I only tried it once because it's too uncomfortable to try to sit down for 4 hours or 5 hours to play this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The speakers are amazing. Like, it's the
Honestly,
build
like-
quality there. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I was excited about the fact it was like shaped like the Game Boy Color. But the
You'll
thing
like
is,
it,
like
man.
looking back on that, my hands were much smaller when I was playing that console. So
Right.
Well, that's what my problem was. Like,
Yeah.
I wish they would have went. I wish they would have went with Game Boy Advance, the original model. That's
Yeah.
ergonomically the best Game Boy Advance, and it would have allowed for widescreen on non Game Boy Color squared off games. You know, 4:3 go to 16:9 ish. I'm not exactly sure what the exact resolution is for Game Boy Advance, but it's definitely widescreen ish. And I think that would have been a better screen size for the Analog Pocket, personally.
yeah.
Have you guys played the Game Boy Micro lately? The thing's so tiny.
I don't
With
have
my
one.
big hands. With my big hands, like it's like impossible for me to play with my big fingers and
I remember when that came out, I was just like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
yeah.
Like,
If
I
I
don't
remember
understand.
correctly, does that play Game Boy Color and Game Boy games at all? I thought it was just
No.
Game Boy Advance.
This one?
Game Boy Advance, I think. Yeah.
No, the micro.
Oh, yeah.
Micro.
Yeah, this one plays it all, but I think why I can't really get too like pissy with them is they did build this as a Game Boy, not a Game Boy Advance player, right? It's a Game Boy first, Game Boy Color. Game Boy Advance was just something it does really well. So, like, you know, I can't really fault them for that. That was their design, and I knew that going in. So, you know, it's just that I thought it would be more comfortable. But this is another thing that drives me nuts about it. When I did my 5 annoying things about this system, is like these buttons, you're constantly hitting the wrong ones. Like, they're really so close together. Hitting down on the volume, you're shutting the system off half the time. I got fat fingers. And yeah, I gave it to my son to try because he's big into Switch Lite, and he brought it back. He said, like, you know, he goes, Dad, I'm going to drop it. I'm like, well, don't drop it because I paid $200 for it. No, please don't drop it.
Pricey.
But yeah.
I'm surprised that Retron didn't do like a portable Game Boy machine at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hyperkin?
After what they
Hyperkin
did with
Retron.
that Game Boy
SQ.
that you sent me, that GBA that I got you to buy for me down in the States, Chris.
I thought that was going to be good.
That was not
I
good.
almost bought one. For me
I like
too.
almost sent that back to you and put more money in it for you to try to keep. Like, since then, though, I've updated the OS, and I updated, played it, and then I'm like, no, I'd rather play it on a dimly lit GBA than that.
I like the Game Boy player for that. It's like, how do you guys feel about portable systems going on TVs? Because obviously the quality of the games, the resolutions were not meant necessarily for TV screens. So, like, how do you feel about things like the Game Boy player, the Super Game Boy, the Analog Pocket with the dock, those kinds of things?
I love it. That's one of my favorite ways to play on the mobile. I had remember the PSP. Remember the PSP got the component cables? And they had the component and composite cables. I got that day one, actually in Texas when I was traveling through Texas for work a long time ago. And I love it. I used to plug it into the hotel rooms and play my PSP. I've got the Vita TV here on and ready to go all the time. And if you ever want to know, there's a video out on the YouTube that shows you how to unlock your Vita TV so that you can play all the games on there. But I love it. I just love playing my handheld hooked up to the TV sometimes.
I'm definitely planning to do that with my Vita TV, but I'm going to wait until I get a bigger memory card to do it with.
You need to be able to whitelist it, though. That's the only thing. Like, I didn't mod my my Vita TV, but I got the file, whitelist text file that once you run it every time, you can play any game on the Vita TV. So it unlocks it because it's just a text list that Sony has in a header file that you put a Vita game in. It checks this header file, and if it's not on the list, it won't play the Vita game because of, you know, the controls on the back, which it's like 300 or 400 games won't work on.
Right. Like Uncharted doesn't work on there.
Yeah, now it does.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That's cool. I just posted a video today actually on a handheld. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's called the RG 552, which sounds like a Star Wars droid. It sounds like a weird name, but it's a handheld. It's an emulation handheld, but actually, you know, can play games really well. But why I like it, it's got built-in Wi-Fi, so you get like retro treatments, and you can do some really cool things with it.
Whoa, let me check the
it-
channel out.
It can play. It's like $240, so it's not too bad. But for what it can do, it's really decent. It can play up to like the Thomas Wave, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with. It's basically like Dreamcast level gameplay, which is pretty impressive for a handheld.
Really?
Oh yeah, that is.
Who makes it, John? Is it Abernick?
Abernick. Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. I didn't get your notification on the video. What's going on here?
YouTube. Yeah, YouTube should be in YouTube.
Okay.
I get
thought
them a
it
day
was
late.
getting one of
on
those, but I was
everybody.
waiting for someone who I respected to do a review on it because let's be honest, right? A lot of reviews on a lot of handhelds and systems out
Yeah.
there, kind of you don't know if it's a paid review or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this one it was not paid for. I actually paid for this, but it's a good handheld. I definitely recommend it. It's impressive. The build quality is really impressive. It doesn't have Bluetooth, which is a letdown. It has HDMI out, which is nice. So it's got the mini HDMI out. I had to get like an adapter, mini HDMI to regular HDMI to plug in my TV. By Amazon, I got like a 15-foot cable for like $11. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I got this little thing here for my Evercade. Now I don't really need it because it's the VS has got the big HDMI, but that's the little kind of.
Oh yeah, that's cool. There you go.
$8 off Amazon.
But see, the thing with this handheld though is that's too close. You'd be like sitting next to the TV, right? Because it's like only a 8-inch cable you have there. So
It's
It's an extender, isn't it?
What I do with it though,
extender?
I've got a long one. I use it for my capture, so I have a big long
Got it.
capture.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And I sit way back.
Cool. But what's cool about this handheld, my versions runs off of Android. So, but you can also run it off of Linux too, which is cool. So like you can play Android games. It's touchscreen, which is nice. So you can play Android games really well on it. You can stream, like we were talking about cloud gaming before. The Wi-Fi though is a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi adapter, so it's not like 5. So basically, like playing Xbox Live or Xbox Stream, Game Pass rather, doesn't really work very well. But like I was playing, Ant Stream, and I've been playing Strata, not too bad on it. It's pretty good. It's a good handheld.
That kind of brings me to the Steam Deck a little bit. Have you guys pre-ordered the Steam Deck?
I have mine pre-ordered. Yep.
Me too.
Mine doesn't get. I can't do my actual purchase until next week. I think the 25th.
Oh really?
Oh, you're early on there then.
Yeah, I'm the 25th. I can it's reserved, but I can do the order on the 25th.
How do you find out when you're like where you are in the line, the queue? Do you know? Like,
I think you just go to Steam/Steam Deck, and if you're logged into your account, it'll show you what quarter delivery you're in, and then it should tell you. I assume because I'm in second quarter this year, I should be able to pay for it on Feb 25, because the end of the quarter, first quarter is March, right?
Yeah.
But I may be wrong. I could be wrong. It's Valve, by the way. So
Mine says after Q2.
Now that's going to be the test, right? Like I'm huge on the VCS and the Switch to play a lot of my retro games and modern retro games I call them now. They're like, but when Steam comes out, all those are there too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
What's that going to do? Like, am I going to stop buying or playing on Switch?
Right.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, these
So as far
people are saying. You go ahead.
as far as your RG, you said RG350, right?
552. Yeah.
552. Yeah.
552. Yeah.
That is running Android, so any Android emulator produced could potentially run on that, right?
Correct. That's what I run the emulations on. Yeah.
That's actually pretty nice because it's an open source ecosystem that anybody can program for, kind of like Linux for the Steam Deck. And I'm kind of thinking whether Valve will be friendly to people doing that. I'm curious since they're kind of locked down with their Linux system, but you could easily put Windows on it.
Yeah.
Well, I would think whether they're friendly or not, people are going to find ways to hack it. It's
Valve
inevitable. It's going to.
Right. Do they
Yeah.
care if somebody hacks their system, I wonder?
They probably would if you figured out a way to get all your Steam games for free.
Yeah.
I think
There's handhelds out there that are like basically portable PCs.
Yeah.
Right. You're looking at like $1,100, $1,500 investment for these things,
Right.
right? And essentially, they do run off of Windows and things like that. But I mean, the Steam Deck, I'm excited for, and I imagine it's just a matter of time before someone hacks it and will open up for open source.
Within the first day.
Somebody's
Yeah.
got Switch games running on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious if somebody's gonna get Switch running in 4K on the Steam Deck before Nintendo puts something out for this.
I mean, there's Switch emulators out there that run Switch perfectly right now. I mean, that
Yeah.
was easy system to emulate. I mean, it's crazy. Like the PS5 was hacked not very long after it came out. It's crazy.
Is the PS4 still hasn't been hacked, right? It's the PS4 that's been like a decade
No, it
before.
has.
Yeah,
the PS4 's
Modern
been
Business
hacked.
Gamer did a whole video on that.
But it took a
discussing
long
how
while,
PS4
right? Took a long while for them to hack that system.
It took a little while, yeah. They were able to get PS2 running
Kernel.
on there, which proved that Sony was wrong about PS2 games.
Don't
And my
get me
good friend who's like really, I have a good friend who helps out with, his name's Kirk. He helps out a lot with the emulation side of things. Like he's an expert. And he was telling me, explaining to me that Sony actually pays hackers to like hack their system for them so they can understand how it works. And Sony's pretty cool about it. Nintendo, obviously, very no. You know, Nintendo does not want anything to do with it.
Did they have a guy going to prison for like 5 years over the Switch hack?
I don't know
I
the
wanna
details
say-
on that, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, yeah, I think Sony's take is like, their system's gonna get hacked, but as long as like not the majority aren't like stealing their software,
Right.
you know. And that's the thing, because I'm a game developer too, so I totally see, like, it pisses me off when people rip our games, right, and steal those games. So I get it, you know. So
I kind of respect Nintendo's approach of going hard at those people, because when you look at it though, like Sony is a major corporation and video games is one part of it. Microsoft, major corporation, video games, one part of it. Nintendo is just video games. If
And
they
toys.
go under with a major hack, they're done. They have no other revenue streams. That's it.
That's fair.
They haven't
Yeah.
diversified their anything. They're just pure video games, and they're overly protective of their revenue, and I kind of respect that in a lot of ways, because Sony and Microsoft can afford for their gaming divisions to dip. They've got movies, music, OSs, and Office, right? Or Excel, whatever they do in Microsoft. But so I don't really, when it comes to modern systems, it's just something I don't hack. I don't touch any of the modern tech I'm playing. But once it goes past 10 years, it's open game for me to go have fun with it.
I think it's fair.
yeah, I
They
agree.
made their
PSP.
That's how I look at it, right? I could have easily added tons of ROMs onto the Phoenix John's system that he worked with his group, but I won't do that. I go and buy them from Collector Vision because they're still a company trying to make a living on software they're creating. If they ever go defunct 10 years down the road and they're no longer over, then it's open for me to have some fun with, because I'm not hurting anyone. So I almost take it too personal when I'm playing people's products. Like Evercade, this guy keeps pestering me to give me the EverDrive, the Ever SD drive for the hack, the Evercade. And he tells me, why won't you take it? Why won't you take it? I'll give it to you free. I said, because this small company of 13 people have a product out and they're still in the marketplace doing the best thing. I'm not going to show people how to add free games to their system. That's not what I'm about. I'm not doing, YouTube is fun for me. That's not a living for me. It's for fun. Like, why would I want to do that? But I don't hate people who do that. It's just not my jam. So that's how I see with Nintendo. Like, I see people hacking it, but that's not something I want to do.
Yeah,
That's how I feel
agree
about the
100%.
PSP, because the PSP has been out for so long that I've had like 3 or 4 of them over the years, and every time I get one, because they've been defunct for a while, the PSP, I hack it to play old games that I already own. So I'll play old Fire Emblem games that I have the carts for, because I like the bigger screen for Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
And honestly, the PSP scene was one of the best emulation scenes ever pre-2010.
Mm-hmm. Same as the Vita now. Vita's turning into an emulation beast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vita's awesome.
Yeah. And Sony, Sony gave up on that way, way too fast, in my opinion. I think I don't know why they just dropped that after a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process was behind that, because that was a really cool system right out the gate, and then they just kind of forgot about it immediately. It's almost like they gave up on it in production, but they already had them, so they're like, "Well, guess we'll release it."
Great game on it,
Well, you had like AAA titles like Uncharted, and they had all the great titles, and then a year and a half later, it was all these like smaller titles that they would just push on it, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, like Killzone, not my favorite IP from Sony, but I like it. Was visually just a treat to play on. It had some slowdown in that. Uncharted was amazing. Have you tried the Resistance Retribution on there, where he plays a firefighter?
Mm.
It's a full Resistance game with a full narrative, full cutscenes, everything.
Mm.
It's freaking awesome, and it's on the Vita. And like, we got 3 Resistance on the PS3. I love the Resistance games.
The Resistance is good.
I love that series, alternate history, and
Yeah, it's cool.
but the fact that the Vita had this game and it ran really well and played really well, had some weird touch controls on it. That's the only drawback they, shoot on that.
That's definitely the back touch panel is something that our other co-host Andrew always gets so angry about. And then he says that Unit 13 was what ended one of his favorite companies from existence, essentially, because they produced that and then the company went defunct. I can't remember who it was, but he always talks about that.
Yeah, I have that. It's okay. But like I said, like there were so many great franchises and it played them so well. And then Sony it's a great mystery. I'm sure there's a documentary there to be told why they did that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So what's your
Nintendo paid them
favorite?
off. No.
Because
What's
the
your guys'
3DS wasn't that great at that time, was it? Like, because that was their
was
main
okay.
competitor. Remember 3DS? They launched at $249. Nobody bought it, and then Sony, Nintendo apologized, gave us all a bunch of GBA games,
Mhm.
and then lowered.
And then said nobody else can run these, even though clearly they could.
Yeah, but Sony had the market if they wanted it. Like
Yeah, they
3DS
could've
was
easily.
stumbling.
Mhm.
Anyway, it still makes me a little angry thinking back about those 2 years when that launched.
So what's your guys' favorite portable right now in this particular time frame, and what are you playing on it?
John can go first.
Good. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I can tell you my favorite console of all time is probably the old school Game Boy. So and then what I play on that would be like Tetris, of course.
Mhm.
Classic.
Mario Land 2, Mario's six gold
Yep.
coins. That's probably my favorite, to be honest. I do play quite a bit still.
How about you, Pete?
That's a tough one, dude. I love my Switch. I got to be honest. Switch is slowly becoming, if relatively in the next couple of years, my favorite system of all time. Just because I'm just playing so much fun games on it. But I'd say the one I'm probably playing the most these days, it's still the Evercade. Like I take it wherever I go because, like, I don't want to take Breath of the Wild with me if I'm going somewhere for a couple hours. Like if I just gotta chill and wait in the car for the kids or something like that, I'll take the Evercade, like, because I don't game on my phone. I'm not a mobile gamer. But yeah, it's the Evercade. So like I always have my Evercades charged and ready to go, and I always have a collection usually ready to go in them. And usually it's most of the times lately it's been the Atari collection I've been taking with me, just playing a lot of Aqua Adventure and playing a lot of those games for fun. But yeah, it's probably the Switch, and it's both right now, Switch and Evercade.
How about you, Will?
Yeah, so the one I'm playing the most right now is the Switch. That's mostly because I'm playing essentially what games I have on my Xbox on my Switch. It's like The Witcher, Kingdoms of Amalur, those kinds of games. And my favorite of all time, that's tough. I really love the original Game Boy. But that was actually technically my brother's. Like I kind of inherited that system. So when I got the Game Boy Color, and I could actually, with Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, I will never forget, I could actually go backwards on the screen. And I remember thinking that was mind blowing to me, that I could actually go backwards in the level, and also it was in color. So I was just like, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to pop in the old Game Boy games and have like sort of having color to it was so cool. So I think that would probably be my favorite system of all time.
If I never answered the all-time one, mine's PSP. I think, Chris, you already know that. The PSP is by far my favorite system because I got it when I was just starting off in my late 20s, I think, early 30s. So I was working in the U.S. for 7 straight years, all over southern U.S. And I just took it everywhere I went. And every city I went to, I used to go to a GameStop and look for PSP games. I love that system to death. I still have it. I have it. All my games that I originally bought like 20 years ago when it came out, like roughly that. Just still love that system, except it's got to deal with the loads, and you got to deal with the bloated batteries now. Like, I don't know how many times I've got to get new batteries for it because they all just swell up, and you got to get rid of them. But yeah, I love my PSP.
That's actually something I did a video on, by the way, was the fact that all portable systems are reliant on batteries, right? So all portable systems, especially ones with sealed batteries, ones inside the console that you can't get to easily, they're all going to be eventually, they'll succumb to the battery. And if you don't replace it, then the console will die from just the battery corrosion. Could destroy motherboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Vita is like that. The DS and 3DS. They're very easy to switch out, though.
The Vita, I did that one recently.
Yeah, 3DS too. You just have to take backplate off, right? It still is.
Yeah, it's actually just a screwdriver, and it's like the same size as the Joy-Con battery almost.
Yeah, it's like a standard. It's a pretty plug-and-play battery you can put in there, right?
That one's easier than the Vita. The Vita, you have to get in behind the screen a little bit. Yeah, I did that one.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they did a custom seal.
Oh, okay.
A custom seal here. Just to get the seal off, you can pretty much just almost destroy your flip faceplate to get this off.
Oh, wow.
Look, there's no screw holes anywhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Have you done it already then, or no?
No, I watched Crow from the Crow Continuum. He put a IPS screen on his, and I'm like,
oh, he did?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, no. But yeah, so it's a complete nightmare for that one.
That's another thing. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of my favorite console handhelds, too, back in the day was the Turbo Express. I thought it was so cool that you could play TurboGrafx 16 games on the go. And not only that, but watch TV with the adapter and granting it 8 batteries like crazy, like the Game Gear did and the Lynx. But I thought it was super ahead of its time back in the day.
Never seen one, ever. Never held one.
Really?
Never.
Oh, yeah, they're cool. It's like an oversized. I have that, and I have the Japanese version, too. But they're like oversized Game Boys as far as size goes.
Yeah.
They're big.
I looked at PRGE. Was it last one before the pandemic? And I had heard a rumor somebody had an inbox one there, and I looked all over the show floor looking for it to see if I can go get it.
Oh, wow.
And when I got to the booth, he had already sold it, and I'm like, oh, I sold it.
Yeah, they have audio issues now. A lot of them, the audio will go bad on them because, I don't know, something with the audio, the way they made it.
Is there like a cap in there, like a capacitor or something?
Yeah, it's like a cap. Yeah, you can replace it. Yeah, but it's a cap. It goes bad. So majority that you'll find now will have bad static audio, which is unfortunate. If you just use your headphones, it's fine. But just listen to it play. It's kind of staticky. That's how mine is anyway.
I have a Nomad. Nomad's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Nomad is really cool. Yeah.
It's a weird shape though. It's like high, it's not a rectangle.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That was only released in North America too, right? So they didn't get that in Japan.
Remember like the Tiger Electronics?
No, the Nomad Sega.
No, I'm talking about. Do you remember the Tiger Electronics? Yes. Like it was like a like a touchscreen and everything.
But the original LCDs, right?
Like Gamecom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the GameCon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the GameCon or Game.con? I can't remember.
Oh my gosh. What was that system that had the weird, like it was a round handheld system that had these like 2 like thumb buttons up top? Gizmondo. Have you guys ever seen Gizmondo?
Isn't that like there was like a whole cartel thing behind that or something? I don't remember. I thought that was like the one where
crashed his Ferrari or something. I think we lost John.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Oh,
John's incredibly still.
He just capped it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I won't remove the extra.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, Will, I think you were talking about the Gamecom, the Tiger Gamecom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And I missed kind of what you were guys talking about after I heard the Gizmondo.
Yeah. Wasn't the Gizmondo the one that had like the mafia or something was involved in it? And they had like a car Ferrari thing that happened.
Yeah, like the Norwegian or Swedish mafia or something like that.
It's crazy, right?
It had augmented reality, which is way ahead of its time though, which is really cool. Like no one had even heard of augmented reality back then, right? So that was a really cool feature. I have one. It's kind of unique. Pretty rare.
You have games for it also?
I have a few games for it, yeah. There was a golf game I have for it. There's a racing game, which is really cool for it. There's one called Sticky Ball, which is kind of unique I have. It's like pool and the balls stick together. It's like a puzzle game, which is cool. But it's all done in 3D. So it's a cool little, and it had a camera, built-in camera. It was cool.
Pete, don't you have kind of a rare handheld, the Neo Geo something or other?
Oh, a pocket?
I don't remember what the name of it is. It was almost like a Switch before the Switch.
Oh yeah, I've got the Neo Geo Gold.
That's right.
Actually,
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the system that like
Yeah.
come out and you dock the handheld inside of a replica?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. I had
Yeah.
one too.
So I had that, but I had to stop playing it because it gets really, really hot. Base system. The handheld's fine, but you need to if you plug the handheld into the base system and plug it into the TV, it gets really, really warm, and the power adapter gets really warm. So, but yeah, the emulation on it though is not really good. Like the emulation is pretty bad. I'd like to get the original one with the big giant carts that are like $300, but can't afford that. That's a little too much.
Those are
when Analog first came out, right? Their first system was the wooden Neo Geos, right? And
I actually didn't know that.
Yes, I heard about that on your channel, John. You talked about that.
Yeah. So they'd sent me one to review. It was like actually like a Neo Geo console made out of wood, like polished.
And you had to send it back, I think.
I had to send it back. Yeah. And I regret having to send it back.
Channel, right? I'm not a poser. You can tell I've been watching John.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
I can still remember the time you met the Game Chasers for the first time. Like, okay, there's Jay and what's his name? What's the other guy's name? The other Game Chaser.
John, you muted yourself, John. Okay.
Who's the two Game Chasers? Jay and
I don't remember. I don't watch the Game Chasers, to be entirely honest.
Anyway, but I still remember
Billy and Jay.
Billy
and Jay. Okay.
I was watching the Game Chaser many years ago, and they were so excited to go meet Gamester, and so I watched that video, and I'm like, "There's Jay and Billy are just comical dudes, and there's Gamester bringing all the knowledge." And I'm like, "This is just hilarious to watch those three going into a game store." I'm like, it was so funny. Yeah. Anyway, I can remember watching that video a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any handheld consoles that upon release you said, nah, that's not for me, and then later on you were like, you know what, maybe this is for me?
The Switch.
I was the same way about that one.
The Game Boy Advance, I was pissed when that first came out because I had just gotten the Game Boy Color, and it's just like, what the hell? Why did you make this clearly superior system right after the Game Boy Color?
I'd say like the Evercade after what Pete's been talking about it. Like I don't have it now. I want one. So, probably one of those.
Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy it because like just the eclectic nature of the collections. Like that's what I appreciate most. Like anybody can go and play Namco collection anywhere on any system if you want. Really, it's not hard to find. But to get like a Codemaster collection or the new one coming out, Renovation Collection, which is all a Japanese company with IPs they release in the US but under limited quantity, so nobody really owns these games, so it's pretty cool. The system I really didn't get right away and kind of got later was the DS. When that came out, I was full into my PSP. I didn't want DS, no stylus. I'm not going to work, because remember back then everybody had a stylus for their phones.
Yeah, the Palm Pilot.
Palm Pilots, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's not gaming. I don't want to control stuff with my stylus. I have my PSP. Now it's one of my favorite systems ever. Is the DS. I absolutely love it. Your BlackBerry. Yeah, I forgot.
Going back to the GameCom, I think that was like the first handheld that had like touchscreen.
The GameCom?
Yeah, it was very archaic looking back on it because like it barely worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was because I have one. It's like they had what's the game I was playing on it? It wasn't Doom. It was Duke Nukem. They have Duke Nukem on it, which is crazy. It's in black and white. So
I don't think we had anything fun on it. Like I feel like we played like just word games like Hangman or something stupid on it. It was never any like actual games.
It's funny.
What about like do you guys remember it was the Xperia Play. You remember the Xperia Play?
Oh, was that the Sony one?
That was it was like a PSP Go, but it was a phone.
Yeah, I had one. Actually, I had one. I used it, and it broke all the time. I had to replace it 4 times in a year. At that point, I'm like, I'm done with it. But it kind of slid out, and you had the controller. It was cool.
Yeah.
But
I kind of bought the PSP Go on launch, I kind of regretted that after about a few months, and there was like really nothing available. So
Yeah,
I stopped playing.
Go,
Just played my PSP.
Right.
It did have a dock though.
Had a dock and built-in 32 gigs built-in memory, I think.
And
I don't know.
Bluetooth for controllers. You do a DualShock 3 with it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that, but
Playing PSP games on your TV, why not?
yeah, the Go was one that never appealed to me when that came out. I was just like this. It was at the time because it was all digital, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like at that time, I was like, this is so stupid. This will never catch on. Why would anyone want a digital game?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, for me, the console that really kind of grew on me later on was the 3DS. I never bought a 3DS on launch. And then I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, so like I like the Fire Emblem games. And by the way, Fire Emblem Shadows of Valencia, the 3DS game that came out towards the end of its life, that game is awesome. But that was the reason that finally tipped the scale for me to get a 3DS was that one, and then Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Cool.
So with the Go now, though, if we were to get a one like second hand, can you even download games on it anymore?
I think Mystic did a video on that because you can still plug it into your PS3 and download games from your PS3 to the PSP, but they did close the store.
Yeah, so it's kind of obsolete.
So you have to have a PS3 to put games on the PSP Go.
It's crazy. I still like to know how Nintendo, what magic they got in their systems that no matter what system I grab that I've not picked up and played in a month, I turn it on, the batteries still work. Like I got GBA SPs in my drawer that I'll just hit the button randomly and it'll turn on and it'll be the battery's still alive. It's crazy.
That's when I got to replace the battery on soon. My SP I've had since basically launch.
Yeah. They're good little systems. Except like the SP, the only problem I had with the SP was I found it too small.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I wish they kind of would have did all that tech in the original GBA form factor.
I never understood the clamshell design. Like it's so tiny. It's awful. I mean, the original was so much better. I never upgraded because it sucked.
So you should put a backlit screen on yours then, well, just so you have the perfect.
Well, it's like the thing is that what's funny about that is I apparently never played at night or something because I never had, or maybe like in direct sunlight. I never had any problems with that. I never even realized that was an issue until later when it's like, look, my screen is so much brighter. It's like, I guess it is, but I don't know.
So my question with Nintendo is like, okay, the Switch is obviously very successful. They've merged both their handheld market and their console market in kind of one. We were smart, right? Because they've dominated the handheld market for years and decades. What comes next? What comes next? Like when we look at like 10 years in the future,
just being into your head.
Like what are they going to release as far as handheld? Are they going to ban the handheld market? Are we looking at like the Switch, like Deluxe, XP, Super System? Like, or are they going to like milk it for? I mean, I'm just kind of curious.
They'll milk it. They're gonna milk it. That's why you got cloud games coming.
Cycle for them. But what's next? Gosh, what can they do? Like, what's left for them to do?
VR.
VR, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Labo, they had the VR Labo thing.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have like a VR Mario Kart, like playing first person. That'd be, you know.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I think Chris had a pretty interesting idea where he's been trying to pitch the idea of his having a dock only system as well as the portable only system. They already have half of that, and I think that may actually be the way they go.
I don't know if you would consider it portable. I actually would, but the Oculus Quest, like I have one, and I love it. I don't know if you guys ever played the Oculus.
No, I've never touched it.
It's super cool, and I say it's portable because you can actually take it to go. You look like an asshole playing in a bus, something like that. But you could, and it's cool. I mean, seriously, like there's no strings, there's no cords. Like you don't have to plug it in. It's just all wireless. I love it. I think it's really cool.
John on the bus doing all that. Nobody will come bother you. You're fine.
But what I really like about it, honestly, is like they have Amazon and Netflix that are a really cool app. So like when you're watching Amazon and Netflix on the Quest, like it feels like you're in like the Netflix. It feels like you're in a winter lodge. And you're watching it in like a huge screen.
Oh wow!
Watching the Amazon, it feels like you're in a movie theater, and like you can look to your left and right, and there's like seats. You're in a movie theater, huge screen, like it's super cool. But there's a lot of good games for it, so I would consider it portable or a handheld. Or it's not a handheld, but it is portable.
How sweaty do you get in that thing?
Not too bad. Depends on what you're playing. Like I do Beat Saber quite a bit, and I love Beat Saber. I don't know if you guys have played or not. And something like that will get you pretty active. But some of the games are pretty low key.
I played a couple demos, and I don't maybe it was not the Microsoft store. It was one of those stores that had a display. Maybe it was Best Buy, and basically within 15 minutes, I was just drenched.
Were you?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It was like the headphones and the thing over my eyes was just like keeping all the heat on my face. It was super uncomfortable.
That is funny.
Speaking of portable VR, how do you guys feel about the Virtual Boy?
I love the Virtual Boy. Although, yeah,
Never put my eyes in one. Would never. Don't even know.
awkward playing it. The best way I find to play the Virtual Boy is to lay on your back and have it lay. That's the only way you can play. Because if you're like on a desk and you're looking at it, you're like your neck, it's sore.
I would never think to do that. That's great.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's like
Your wife walks in. What you doing, John? Just it's a quality time with my Virtual Boy.
Controller's weird. Like, have you guys? I mean, Pete, you mentioned you never played one, but have you guys? Chris, have you played it? Virtual?
Yeah.
I've touched one time.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool. Like the controller's weird because there's the two D pads.
Right.
But the game's like tennis is really cool. Like Waterworld is interesting, but there's some really good games. Like Wario Land is really good for it. But then there's some really bad games too, right? So a lot of the good games came out.
Consider that portable? Because you can kind of. Would you consider that system like kind of a portable system?
You could technically, it runs off of batteries through the controller, so you could technically take it to go and play it. Yeah. There's no like head strap. Not like
there should have been.
There should have been a head strap. Yeah. And they were going to come up with a link where you could play 2-player. I don't think they ever came out with that link.
That would be interesting, having two Virtual Boys on the counter and two people are like dialed playing tennis against each other.
Two buddies laying on the bed.
I would love to get my hands on a Virtual Boy kiosk, like the ones that you actually stand and like display. Those are super cool.
There was a Shank Mods. You ever heard of Shank Mods? He did like the GameCube controllers for the Switch, where he basically took Joy-Cons, gutted them, put them into GameCube controllers, and split a GameCube controller in half to make GameCube Joy-Cons, essentially.
That's cool.
But he also did a portable Virtual Boy where he took, you know how the Virtual Boy technically has like two inputs for lighting, and that's how you get the 3D effect?
Right.
Well, he took it and basically made it one, so it wasn't 3D anymore, and it allowed you to play it on a screen. So he made a portable Virtual Boy out of a broken Virtual Boy to give it a little more new life.
Okay.
And it actually played the carts and stuff too, so that was pretty cool.
Do you know why? Here's a trivia quick. Do you know why it is red? Why they chose red?
It was the cheapest color to produce, wasn't it?
There's more shades of red than any other color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Want to give you a headache? That's why they chose that color.
Yeah. When I was at PRG like years ago, I got it's called Hyper Fighting, which is like a homebrew game, but it's essentially Street Fighter 2. Some guy like ported Street Fighter 2 for the Virtual Boy, and what he did, he took the Genesis ROM, and it's amazing. Like you can play it in 3D. It's super cool. Sounds amazing. It looks amazing, and because the controller has the 2D pads, it actually plays amazing too. I think he only made a couple hundred copies of it, but yeah, it's incredible.
That's like the homebrew community in gaming is amazing. Like the people are producing, like it's just awesome. Like
I feel like Nintendo dropped the boat when it came to the 3DS and not porting Virtual Boy games over to 3DS. They should have had like Virtual Boy pack,
the slider and everything. There, it's the same tech essentially. Just
you could have easily done it to the 3DS. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's
and they could have allowed you to change the colors probably too. You could have like blue or green, something easier to look at.
Deluxe, yeah, because like Mario Clash, I don't know if you ever played it, but are aware of it, but it's like the spiritual successor of like the sequel to like Mario Brothers arcade game, old school Mario Brothers.
The OG that everybody gets wrong when you see what's the first Mario. They always think the NES one. They don't think of.
But it's like the spiritual successor for that, so it's a really cool. But it's done in a 3D scale. So like you can throw turtle shells across 3D. It's super cool.
Oh, yeah, cool.
They have two Tetris games for the Virtual Boy. One was in Japan, one was here, and they played totally different. So one is like normal Tetris with a 3D background, and the other one is actually like top down, looking at a cube Tetris and trying to get. You can move it around.
Is that like Blockout?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing that recently on the Evercade. blockouts on there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the arcade version of it.
I played a prototype of Mario Kart for the Virtual Boy, which had potential. They were
Was
That
it a
would've been
Nintendo
interesting.
prototype?
Yeah, Nintendo they were working on the game, and there was like a playable, you can play actually a road track on it.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Mario Kart is one of my favorite series of all time, and nobody ever counts Mario Kart as like their favorite when it comes to Nintendo. Super Mario, Zelda, Metroid. It's like Mario Kart is my most played game on Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe. We've got hundreds of hours as a family in that game.
You know my dream game for Nintendo to come out with would Mario Maker. Like I love Mario Maker. It's one of my favorite games. A Mario Kart Maker.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like where you could make your own tracks. You could play online.
Remember Excitebike when you could make your own tracks and I made my own tracks more than I played the game back in the day on the NES.
But they could totally do it. They could do the 16-bit. They could do the N64 style.
That would be amazing.
They could do the GameCube.
How is that not a thing? They would make so much money on that.
It has to be a thing. It has to be a thing. Either way, or Gamester, you could if they come out with your idea, you can just knock on Nintendo's door.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I think that'd be incredible. Like playing other people's tracks. That'd be amazing.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. And customizing your characters and different characters. I think it'd be cool.
Okay, so I have a question for you
I
guys.
had a question. Oh, can I ask this one first?
Go ahead first, Pete.
Okay, not that I'm no host or anything, but do you guys when the Switch came out first and you got to play it? Did you consider it a handheld or a home console or a hybrid? Because where did you fall and where do you fall now, considering it's out for 5 years?
I don't like the
consider it-
Joy-Cons.
You mean
Personally.
just on the system or separate?
At
Or
all.
just in general?
I'm
Okay.
just not a fan of the Joy-Cons. I like
Most
the
people
Hori
are.
Split Pad Pro. I use that quite a bit. I like that for portable gaming. It just makes it a behemoth to hold sometimes. But it's a much more comfortable experience. My hands are a little too big for Joy-Cons. A little bit too big.
You must have small hands. I want to measure your hands next time I see you, Chris, because you're always complaining about having fat fingers and stuff. It's just like I feel like my hands are the same size. I never. Yeah, I don't.
Well, perspective, everybody's hands looks big. You put it beside your head, and that gives you perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you have a big head, then well.
I have a big head.
I always thought it as handheld myself. I never thought of it as a home console.
I definitely thought it was a home console first, and then I realized it was it's a huge pain in the butt to go back and forth between my systems. So I almost always play it off the dock. But I refuse to get a Switch Lite because I want the dock. I want that ability. But I never play it on the TV.
They took that ability out of the Switch Lite, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they were just trying to justify making the price $100 cheaper without because there's no reason why that feature can't be there. Let's be honest. There's no reason why that feature couldn't have been on the Switch Lite, and I would have bought one instead. But what I will say is, if you're not getting the dock and you're $100 cheaper, that makes sense price-wise. So that's probably why they did it. Disable the dock function altogether and then not give it to you at all.
Better.
That's the only reason I could think of.
But
the D-pad's nice.
I just see both systems. The main system is always as a handheld, even with the Joy-Cons. I've always felt that it was a handheld.
I always thought it was a hybrid when it first came out, but now I can see it more as a handheld, I suppose.
But I do think the dock-only console needs to happen at some point. Even if they make the dock-only console able to dock switches, so if you could put the Switch in and then trade saves across the docked version and the Switch version, that'd be pretty cool. And then you could add Wii U functionality to the Switch if the dock could communicate with the Switch. That'd be pretty cool too. Having inventory on Breath of the Wild on the Switch, and then on the TV is the game. That'd be pretty cool.
I think Nintendo's next move is going to be more cloud gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In that way.
unfortunately.
That's going to be the next move.
If they launch,
Kingdom Hearts go cloud.
yeah, I'm not a fan of that. If they launched a Game Boy Classic, how would you guys feel about that?
I'd buy it immediately.
Yeah.
I think so.
What if it can't play carts though?
Yeah, if it's just a mini, you mean?
Like a mini?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Game Boy Mini?
Yeah.
Well, is it the same size though as the original? Because
Well, of course then again, I know it probably wouldn't have to be.
I think the
But
next
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be Game Gear mini size from Japan. It wouldn't be that. That's for sure. Because those things are this big.
I think their next mini is going to be the N64 mini. That's the next one to come.
I hope. I really want that console. I know it's probably gonna be vomit inducing, but I do want it. And like the GameCube mini, oh my gosh, that's gonna be amazing. I really hope they actually do that.
Yeah, GameCube emulation still, it works, but it'd have to be pretty.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, right? As emulation gets better, the hardware gets more expensive until it starts getting cheaper again. And in the current state of things, like it's very difficult to get that kind of hardware in the first place. So yeah, I think the N64 is probably doable, especially since the Switch already runs N64 ROMs.
Kind of.
But yeah, kind of. Fair enough. But yeah.
So in 3 years, the Nintendo NES is going to turn 40, right? Which is crazy. It makes me feel old just thinking that. But I would think they've got to do something special for that anniversary, right? Like I know they have the Nintendo Mini already came out, but it would be cool to like do a special release of the NES or do something, special.
Mm-hmm.
Is it NES or Famicom or both?
Famicom might be like now actually, like it might.
Yeah, Famicom's like 4 or 5 years older than the NES, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it took them a while to get the NES to North America.
I had a question too. Do you guys even play the on your Switch? Do you even play the Nintendo online SNES, NES 64
I do.
game? I don't touch them.
I do.
I subscribe to them, but I don't touch them to be honest.
Either.
I played original Metroid, some of Super Metroid.
I don't know.
I played Paper Mario quite a bit. I like Paper Mario a lot, and that's the only version I really like have nostalgia for. Like Thousand Year Door is cool. I have that one too. But I have so much nostalgia for Paper Mario. It was my first RPG.
Well, that's the Square game, right?
That's actually.
That was. You're thinking Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Oh, Mario RPG was the
Legend.
Square one. Yeah, that's the SNES one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the SNES Classic, but not on the Switch.
That's awesome. I love that one. I love the SNES one. I like the Paper Mario ones too, but the SNES one, yeah, that was really good.
That was Intelligent Systems who ended up making Fire Emblem after that.
Oh.
Or before that, I don't know, but probably both.
Glad I got
It'd be really cool, like just given Nintendo's listening, because like a new Rob the Robot.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like maybe for the 40th, do like a special Rob the Robot. It's like a special iPad,
cool.
like almost like an Alexa system. Like I don't know, the technology can do some really cool things, right?
update Gyromite for it.
Turn it into a thing where it vacuums your floors or whatever, or do something cool,
Have it plug into the Switch.
Like the robot,
do something up. Control the Switch, or who knows?
That'd be pretty cool if you could have it plugged into your Switch to do things with Rob the Robot.
Yeah, bring him back.
I'd probably get it for no reason.
Well, I'll get it. Like anything Nintendo puts out, if it's, I'm there, at least very interested day one, just because that was my teenage years playing the NES. That's what I did. Love it. It seems like if they see, the problem is like when they did all the flashback systems. Remember those, the intelligent flashback, Atari Coleco flashback systems? I was on those day one too, because I just love the fact, because that's when I was a kid, like a lot of people when you were a kid, like could have been the NES or the Game Boy or something. When I was a kid, like, in 77 when Atari come out, I was 4 years old. And I can still remember getting it in 79, having my own Gemini system, was an Atari, and playing those games. And so when I think back when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, it's those games. That's why I love ColecoVision and Intellivision and Atari. But when I got into gaming with my friends a lot was the NES. So I'm in Nintendo all the way, whatever they put out.
Yeah, for sure. Are you guys gonna get the new Nintendo Sports?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get Switch Sports. Yeah, my in-laws are like diehard Switch. Like the Wii Sports is one of their favorite things to do on the Wii. So.
Pete's shaking his head.
I do not play the Wii, do not like motion control. I still remember when I told Tommy Tellerico about that, when he said, "Pete, you're going to love the Amico's motion controls." I looked at him like, absolutely not. I will never play. So yeah, I'm not a motion control guy. Never have been.
Do you have a Wii U?
I do.
Yeah. Wii U's awesome.
Oh, Xenoblade Chronicles X on it.
That's the only one that's basically exclusive still. It's like one of the few.
Yeah.
It's a good system, terrible name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know why they would name it. I kind of felt like when I first heard about it with the gamepad, I kind of was envisioning what the Switch is now, right? Like, I thought you could
Yeah.
take it to go and all that, but obviously it kind of evolved into the Switch.
I thought it was the controller for the longest time. I didn't realize it was the whole new system.
Right.
How many parents went into game stores back then, or grandparents, and said they wanted to get the Wii U for their kids, and all of a sudden walked out with a Wii? Little red Wii or something like that.
Mhm.
Like the Wii Mini that didn't have
Wii
internet.
Mini that didn't have any functionality.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's your Wii U for Christmas. Oh yeah, it's awful.
It's the
man.
Wii U for you.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Okay, the
I guess
Xbox,
that-
original Xbox, and they wanted to one up Sony, so they went 360 instead of Xbox 2.
Mm-hmm.
They want to catch up in the generational name game, and then they went Xbox One, and then Xbox One X, and then One S, and then Series. I'm like, what are you doing here?
It's so confusing.
So confusing.
At least it's
like
compatible anyway. So at least
Yep.
parents, when they're going to buy a game, if they get a One Xbox One, it's
So
the
good.
same.
Yeah.
Right. So
I gotta ask you guys a question now since you brought up the Xbox One and the PS4. Have you guys seen those like laptop cases that have like a built-in battery bank and you can have a screen in the case and literally play your Xbox in the
Mhm.
park? Like, can you imagine being the person doing that? Like, it's in
It's about as ridiculous as me playing the VR in the public in the park.
a lot of sports guys and gals do that. Like
really?
pro players, yeah. Because I'm a big sports fan. You can watch. They travel with their consoles on the road, and a lot of them do it in cases like that.
Cool.
So there is a market
like-
there for young guy gamers, I guess, who can't leave their hotel rooms because they're playing like basketball or hockey the next night. So
Well, I definitely could see because a lot of the hotel TVs have disabled their inputs because they want you to buy like the random service they have on there. Like I've seen sometimes back in the day, they had an N64 controller hooked up to it, and that played like a few N64 games. And I remember begging my parents to pay for it every time. They would never, ever, ever do that.
was it like $10 a game or something like that?
It was pretty expensive.
You know what's an interesting handheld that I owned? I almost forgot to bring up was the Phillips Cdi handheld.
There's this Phillips Cdi Handheld.
CDI handheld?
Yeah, like it. Well, it's a portable screen, so it doesn't have a portable internal battery per se. But if you had like it, you can take it to go. There's controllers built into it. And there's
Really?
I've seen that video on your channel. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow. I never knew. I've never seen a CDI.
Yeah. I
Like the Dreamcast, right? That fake Dreamcast that has the
Oh
screen.
yeah, same thing. The Dreamcast. Yeah, that.
I used to have a screen on my. I still have it on my PS1, the little tiny PS1.
Yeah.
I have the screen that pops up with the
Oh, yeah.
speakers.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Those are pretty rare now because so many people were breaking into those screens to put them on handhelds for hacking and modding.
Radical Reggie keeps buying them all on eBay. That's why they're. He's always buying them. He was up here to Vancouver Retro Expo 3 years ago, and him and John Hancock, and I got to meet them and talk to him for like a couple of hours. And there was 3 on the floor. I think he bought all 3 of them because like he had all the screen. He's a huge PS1 guy, I guess. So
Now, there's a good question. What would be your perfect portable system to come out in the next year or two? What would it look like? What could it play? What would it be?
Well,
How big would it be?
PS Vita 2.
Yeah.
I want a new Sony handheld.
With R3L3 in the actual analog
Everything.
sticks?
I want them to do a PS4 quality handheld, maybe. Just because I find whatever handheld they do, they push the limits of technology
Yeah.
and features, and they did it with the PSP, they did it with the Vita. Yeah, I would just love to see Sony get back into the game just to push Nintendo a bit too, because Nintendo, it's getting a little complacent, I think, with the Switch. They're like, they might be getting complacent. They're not pushing hardware. They're not pushing the specs. I mean, they got a whole Tegra in there, right? NVIDIA's got a lot better chips out that are just as affordable. They're not doing that. I'd love to see Sony get back in the game.
You ever seen this before?
What is that?
It is called the Deca Vita 7. It actually has a built-in battery, and it plugs a PS TV into the back of it to play the Vita on a 7-inch screen.
Oh, sweet.
There's
That's
everything.
crazy. What?
Some Japanese company made that like years ago, and I've been trying so hard to get my hands on one. There's like probably a few hundred that were ever made.
Wow.
Well, I want Sony to do it in PS4 because PS4 quality games are still pretty amazing looking. And let's be honest, Switch is starting. It's never been a great looking game system. Even Breath of the Wild, it's gameplay over graphics on that one. But just some of the recent games I've been playing, the new Pokemon Arceus, doesn't look good. It does. It looks really, really bad. Like my original Xbox on 720p has got better graphics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Some of the games are still like, the Xbox, the OG on 720 was a powerhouse in some games.
Yeah. Or the
Especially-
GameCube at 480p is awesome.
You HDMI added out too, right? Which I've done. So like it looks pretty sweet getting raw video. But yeah, I'd like to see Sony get back in the game.
Same.
I'm gonna have a similar answer to you, Pete. But I want to see Dreamcast 2. I want to see Sega get back into it. So I want to see them.
It's on the table to talk about. I didn't know that. I'm with you then.
I would love to see them get back in not only the handheld or console market, but also handheld. So like, let's do a Dreamcast 2, kind of like the Switch, where it's handheld, but it's also console.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Sega, I was never a Sega kid, but I still love playing Sega games. Sega sports games, especially, right?
Yeah.
They're just, and they were different. Like, remember Seaman on the Dreamcast? Like, who thinks up a game?
Man. With Leonard Nimoy. It's such a ridiculous game. Like, why? Why does that exist?
As long as they fix the noise on the drive, I'm okay.
What about you, Will? What's your perfect game console?
I guess it essentially the Steam Deck, but with the ability to play like actual physical media. I'd still like. I realize it would be super weird to put a disc into it, but I want that. I know it's going to be gigantic to be able to fit the disc drive. I don't care. I want to be able to do it. So if it's like the size of like the Wii U gamepad or something, that'd be cool. I think you can put a disc in that, right?
Look up some Ben Heck videos later on, Will. You'll see the spinning discs on a portable console.
See, I've watched a lot of those, and every time I get so excited. Oh, portable PS2, and then portable Dreamcast, and I'm watching the video. I'm super excited, and then they start putting together a little SD card. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm totally lost.
He's had spinning disc ones.
I want a disc. I want my Dreamcast portable where I can put a disc in there, get that G drive going, and play it. I don't want to go out in the world and feel like I'm stealing ROMs, because that's how I feel every time I go out and look for ROMs, that the police, the RCMP, or the FBI is going to come and take my house.
You have to make sure that like a Discman, like it wouldn't shake, like it wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, because every time you play it, scratch it, shakes.
Just do the mini disc like in the PSP.
Yeah, there you go.
That was
That quite the media, right?
So basically, what you want a new PSP? It sounds like that's what you want, right?
Yeah, but like a bigger one.
that plays, like,
And
all
with the
the
two
discs.
joysticks, that was one thing that the PSP like frustrated me, was just the one joystick.
Yeah, I make the third person and first person games. I never did get used to that using the stick and your buttons as the up and down and stuff like that, and strafing.
What game would I like? SOCOM. I tried playing on that, and it's just like, oh, this is awful. I can't do
It's a
it.
chore. SOCOM is a chore on that for sure. I had trouble too with was the Dreamcast too, but I got over it. Rainbow Six was on the Dreamcast, I think. John, was it Rainbow Six 3?
Rainbow Six Dreamcast. Yes, there was a Dreamcast.
Yeah, I played a lot of. I can't remember the number. I still have it on my Dreamcast, and I know it took me about a week to get used to playing it, and then I got really into it with one stick. And that game.
I haven't played the new Rainbow Six. I know it just came out, right?
Oh, the one with the aliens in it? And
Extraction.
monsters?
Extraction, yeah.
It's like Alien Isolation meets the Rainbow
Yeah.
Six, right?
It's free on Game Pass. I might actually check that. I haven't played a Rainbow game in since Dreamcast, actually.
Yeah, well, they're totally different now. It's not like the old school ones. I used to play it in the N64, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the GoldenEye update to come out, because that's probably coming soon.
Oh.
I hope they
GoldenEye?
remake GoldenEye.
N64 is not a system I have any nostalgia. Never owned it back in the day. I own way too many of those games now for some reasons, but
Yes.
Yeah, and N64 me never. I was PlayStation. I was into PlayStation then, and Saturn.
Probably my dream system would be essentially the Analog Pocket, but console games. So like make it a nomad for every old system. So you can play like NES, Super Nintendo, your Genesis,
Wasn't
Mega
that what
Drive.
Coleco
Not Mega Drive.
Chameleon used to be?
Well, yeah, at some point that was supposed to do something. It wasn't portable though. That was just a console that could do all those things. But now we have FPGAs like the Analog Pocket that can take pins that are different, like little adapters. I think it's doable.
Their systems are amazing, analog. Like I know I've been critical on the Pocket that they have, but their SG and their NT and all their other ones are great, like great systems. Though their adapters suck. Like every adapter I bought from them end up breaking. The Master System adapter I got for them, like I had a Game Gear adapter for it, just they don't work. It's right here. It's propping up my Google Home. It doesn't work. And I tried to get my money back, and they wouldn't give me my money back. So whatever.
Wow.
But you know what? There's a system that's kind of trying to do that. It's the worst named system ever that I backed on Kickstarter. It's called PiePacker. Have you heard about that?
No, I have not heard of this.
It was a PiePacker. So I got the unit pre-ordered, like I ordered on Kickstarter. It might never come out, probably. It's supposed to have been out last year. But you can put Kart, and then it takes it, puts the ROM, and puts it in the cloud somewhere, and you can play sports games against somebody else who has the PiePacker on the web.
Oh, okay.
You can play online now with it though, can't you? Because we have a game on there in PiePacker you can play. City Hunter.
Is it City Hunter or
Caverns of Death?
Yeah.
PiePacker, yeah. But I didn't know they would come out with a console. But you can just go to their website and play.
So another place I'm gonna have to buy Sydney Hunter because I've got it on the Switch, I've got it on my Phoenix, I've got it on the VCS. Well, I've got the Switch on the VCS, right?
Yeah.
Did Sydney Hunter ever hit the physical release, or are you guys still working that out?
No, we're still working. We're working with a company called First Press Games.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll be announcing it. It's kind of on their court, but hopefully we'll be announcing it in a couple months or so. So
I've got your Super Nintendo version of Sydney Hunter over here.
Yeah.
You guys released the Super Nintendo. I got it from you guys' site.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to open the floor up. If there's anything else you guys want to say about portable gaming, then now's the time to say it or bring up whatever it is you want to talk about.
I'm just thankful there is portable gaming. I think it's amazing.
The older I get, I rely on it.
I'm thankful for it. It's convenient. I do also play. I have a Android the tablet, and I do play games on there as well on the Google Store and things like that. So I think it's good.
I use my iPad for xCloud and stuff like that on occasion. Not very often because I don't really like xCloud, but it does work on occasion when I'm at my house near my router.
I like xCloud a lot, honestly. We were talking about cloud gaming earlier, and I don't want it to ever replace physical media, but I like buying the game and then being able to seamlessly just use the Game Pass or the cloud and not have to put the disc in.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I like having both the best of both worlds. But as far as portable gaming, I always think it's dying, and then I realize there's all these other like third-party platforms that you can actually combine all your favorite games into or get collections for. I always forget about that. So like I always think, Nintendo is dominating the market, which they are, but there are all these other amazing systems out there that people can, buy and pursue. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, like I've always been a handheld gamer, right? I think in my 20s, so I started working and being on the road all the time and traveling a lot. Like I became a handheld gamer and I continue that, especially now into parenthood and it goes wherever I go. I got a game system with me. I guess if I gamed on the phone, it would be different, but I need buttons. I just need I need to press something. It sounds weird, but it's just who I am.
You like pressing people's buttons, Pete?
Yeah, I do that all the time on my channel, right? Me, Mr. Instigator. But no, I absolutely I love it. But you know what? I'm weird because I like it, and then I like plugging it in and seeing it on the big screen and playing that way too. So that's why I love the Switch so much, the PSP, the Vita, stuff like that, because you can play the games. And the Evercade's amazing for that because I don't know if you know this, but it's the first system I ever known that the saves stay on the card. So what I play here, I take it out, put it in the Evercade. It's all saved on the card. But also they do firmware updates for the ROMs, and it flashes after you put the cart into the system. After you flash the system, it flashes the cart with the newest version of the ROM fix.
That's cool.
So, like, just recently downloaded, and they fixed 5 games on Hindi Heroes. And so whenever I put my cart in, it took an extra time to load because it was fixing the cart version of the ROM, which I think is pretty cool. Like,
That's
I've
really
never
cool.
Super
heard
cool.
of that happening before. So, anyway, that's,
Yeah, because like on the Vita, all the updates are internal to the storage of the Vita. Whereas, like, so like if, let's just say in 10 years you can't get a cart anymore and the store shut down, then that cart will never get an update. And that's pretty cool that the Evercade does that.
I didn't know that until somebody else who I do the Evercast with on the podcast every Saturday told me about it, and I'm like, "Is that real? Like they're doing it?" He goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "I tried it myself," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's the way it is." Yeah,
That's cool. I'm definitely leaning towards one after my wife gets over the dollar signs on the Steam Deck. The Evercade's my next one.
You know what? Wait until Black Friday to get one, because they always drop in price, especially if you don't mind ordering from Canada. You take advantage of the save rate, but videogamesplus.ca ships to the US, and I got my second Evercade there for 40% off.
Nice.
And they do it again on the 26th of December every year. They do a complete wipe of complete sale on all of their retro games, and I got a bunch of collections for $8.
Oh wow. Okay.
Nice.
Songbird does it too in the US, but they only do 10%. But anyway, for Americans who like to save on exchange and all that kind of stuff, you could save some money.
Well, I want to say I appreciate you guys coming on here today. It's been awesome having you guys on the multiple times now that we've had you on, and definitely want people to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to Gamester81, subscribe to Classic Gaming Fun. You guys rhyme. Did you know that? Gamester81 and Classic Gaming Fun. There you go. All right. That could be
Intentional.
anyways, I'm gonna sign this one off. So as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
Bye, I'm Pete.
Bye, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a good
And
weekend.
we will see you.
Next CHRILLCAST. Bye guys.
Bye guys.